This conference will now be recorded.
शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। Namaste. Now we will see the meaning of the names of Bhagavan Vishnu from the 8th verse of Shri Vishnu Sahasranama. The 8th verse is like this. Ishanah pranadah prano ज्येष्ठः श्रेष्ठः प्रजापतिः हिरण्यगर्भो भूगर्भः माधवो मधुसूदनः. According to the Bhashya, the commentary, this is how the words are split. We have 10 namas from this verse of Vishnu Sahasranama. What are the 10 names? Ishanaha, Pranadaha, Pranaha, Jyeshtaha, Shreshtaha, Prajapatihi, Hiranyagarbhaha, Bhugarbhaha, Madhavaha, Madhusudanaha. Let us now look into the meanings of each of these names. The first term is Ishanah. Sarvabhuta Niyantritvat Ishanah. Being the controller of all the beings, the Lord Bhagavan Narayana is Ishana. So Ishana means Niyanta, the one who controls. So being the Antaryami, being the Paramatman who is immanent, who is existence within us, he controls. So both from within and without or outside, he controls all the beings. There is a popular Samskrita sentence, Tena vina trunamapi na chalati. Without him, even a blade of grass will not move. So, he is the supreme controller of all the beings. Hence, he is called as Ishanaha. The second term is Pranadaha. We see three interpretations to this term Pranadaha. First one, Pranan Dadati Cheshtayati Iti Pranadaha. The one who gives, who initiates movement in prana is Pranadaha. So the prana is an ever moving entity, and the one who induced movement into it, he is Pranadaha, the one who initiated the movement in prana itself is prana. We can observe that all our bodily activities, it is the prana which constantly moves in and out of our body. So prana itself is characterized by movement, and the one who initiated, the one who gave that attribute of movement to prana is Pranadaha. To this, there is authority from the Vedas. We see Ko Hyevanyat Kah Pranyat. Who can move or who can breathe? Yadesha akasha anando na syat. Without that blissful Paramatman as the substratum, can anyone move or can anyone breathe? So this indicates that even in the prana, the movement is instilled in the prana by the Paramatman, and hence he is called as Pranadaha. The next interpretation is Pranan Kalatmana Dhyati Khandayati iti Pranadaha. Pranan Dati Lunativa. So, being of the nature of Kala, he is the one who cuts the prana. So, here the has been uh, given two verbal forms. So, Dhyati Khandayati, Dati Lunati. So, Khandayati or Dhyati and Dati both mean the same, cutting or severing. So the one who cuts, the one who disconnects or removes the prana from the body. So in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, we see that Deha Prana Sanyoga is Jivana. Deha Prana Viyoga is Marana. So the connection between the Deha and Prana, when that happens, we call it as Jivanam, life. When that connection is severed, that is death. So, Kalatmana, being of the nature of Kala, time, he is the one who removes that connection of prana from the body also. So, pranan khandayati, dhyati or dati. According to the karmas of Jivatmans, he is the one who, uh, being the Kalatma, gives the karma phala in the form of death also. Pranadaha. Then the third interpretation, again very interesting interpretation, Pranan Dapayati Shodhayati itiva. And this has yogic connotation also. The one who purifies the prana. Pranan Dapayati. The word Dapayati here is given the meaning Shodhayati by Shankaracharya. So the one who purifies the prana. So the point is, during pranayama or even during dhyana, especially in the context of pranayama, there is Sagarbha pranayama or Samantraka pranayama, and then Agarbha pranayama, Amantraka pranayama. In the yoga texts, we see that it is the Sagarbha pranayama or the Samantraka pranayama which is recommended. So, when we do pranayama, along with the usage of the mantra, the prana gets purified because the mind is totally with the prana. And when the mind is with the prana along with an elevating mantra, that too the mantra of Lord Narayana, when that is combined with the regulation of breath, then the prana gets purified. When the prana or the pranamaya kosha is purified, then tataha kshiyate prakashavaranam. All the impurities that cloud the light of knowledge, that withers away. So, pranan dapayati shodhayati. So, the Paramatman who purifies the prana in the course of pranayama in the form of the appropriate mantra that is used during pranayama. So he becomes Pranadaha. So beautifully we see three varying interpretations. The one who initiates movement into prana, the one who severs the connection of prana with the body, and then the one who purifies the prana and gives light of knowledge. So it is also, it is when the prana is purified, all bodily illnesses also vanish. So by prananu shodhayati, by purifying the prana, not only is the covering over the light is removed, by removing the impurities in prana, health is also restored by Bhagavan as Pranadaha. So this is the second term, Pranadaha. Then the third term, Pranaha. Pranititi Pranaha. Kshetrajnaha Paramatma va. The one that really breathes. The one that really exists. The Jivatman or the Paramatman. So Praniti iti Pranaha. So the one, what is the one which really breathes? Breathing here is equated to existence. So what is the one that really exists? It is the pure consciousness in the form of Jivatman or in the form of Paramatman that really breathes or that really exists. Hence, the term prana itself indicates the Jivatma or Paramatma. So that is the first interpretation to the term prana. Then the second interpretation, pranasya pranam iti shrutehe mukhya prano va. So the prana of prana. So say the Vedas, hence the main prana. So mukhya prana. So when we say prana here, it is not the mere prana, but it is the mukhya prana. The Vedas themselves say the Brahman is the prana of the prana. It can also be seen that there is a mukhya prana in the body, and that mukhya prana, it divides itself into five forms: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana, and then manages the activities of the body. For all these divisions, there is one source, that is the mukhya prana. So Paramatman should be seen in the form of that mukhya prana also, from which all the divisions of prana emerge and then help the survival and nourishment and existence of the life in the body. So prana here in one sense is the core prana from which the five divisions of prana, apana, vyana, udana emerge and manage. So the Paramatman has to be meditated in the form of this main prana, or as in the Vedas we see pranasya pranam, shrotrasya shrotram, manasaha manaha, vachaha vak. So being the source or the substratum of all the sense organs, which is nothing but the consciousness, pranasya prana can directly indicate the pure consciousness itself, which is the Paramatman. So mukhya prana is the Paramatman. So two uh, interpretations to the term prana. Then Jyeshtha, Vruddhatamaha, Jyeshtha, the one who is most elderly. Vruddha means elderly. Vruddhatamaha, most elderly, which means ancient, who is eternally existing. We also have seen a similar word, Sthaviraha, in the sixth verse. So this also indicates that the Anadi nature. So he is without a beginning. So that nature of Paramatman is indicated by the term Jyeshtha. And Sarva Karanatvadva Jyeshtha. That is another second interpretation to Jyeshtha, being the cause of everything. The Lord is Jyeshtha. We know that the cause always exists before the effect. So, being the cause of everything means that he is the one who existed since very ancient times, and hence he is Jyeshtha. He existed prior to all the effects. Hence, in the Karana Swarupa, he is Jyeshtha. We also see in the Yoga Sutra, Sa Purvesham api Guruhu Kalena Anavachhedat. He is the, the Guru of even the uh, very ancient Brahma and others, and hence Brahma here refers to the creator, and others, he is caused to them even, the Paramatman. Hence he is called as the primordial cause and Jyeshtha, not limited by time. He is the ancient and the cause of everything. The next term is Shresthaha, Prashasyatamaha, highly praiseworthy, worshipworthy is Shresthaha. We have already seen that being endowed with all auspicious qualities, he is worshipworthy. He is the object of meditation. He is the Shubha Ashraya. Then Sarvatishayatvadva Shrestha, the one who surpasses everything in all kinds of capabilities, he is Shrestha. So Acharya also indicates that this term Shrestha and Jyeshtha both indicate the prana tattva itself. Pranova jyeshthascha shreshthascha iti shrutehe mukhya pranova. So we see that Ishanah Pranadah Pranah Jyeshtha Shrestha. So it is in the context of Pranadaha and Pranaha we see Jyeshtha and Shrestha. So Acharya here quotes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and shows or indicates that both these words Jyeshtha and Shrestha also indicate the Mukhya Prana, the main prana from which all the other pranas derive their or emerge and operate and nourish the entire human existence. So this is Jyeshtha and Shrestha. Now we move to the next term, Prajapatihi. Ishvaratvena Sarvasam Prajanam Patihi. Being the Ishvara, the one who governs. We have seen already in the context of the term Ishana, Sarva Niyanta, the one who controls, the one who governs. So being the Ishana, being the Ishvara, he is the Lord of all the beings. Seventh one, Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyamaya Andantarvartitvat Hiranyagarbha Brahma Virinchihi Tadatma. Hiranyagarbha, being present inside the golden egg, he is Brahma. The Lord has to be seen in that form, Tadatma. The Chaturmukha Brahma, who is considered the creator of the world, according to the Puranas, he in the primordial waters, so there emerged a golden egg. Inside that, the Brahman, the creator, who is about to create the entire world, he was present. And hence he is called as Hiranyagarbha. So one has to meditate upon the Lord, the Bhagavan Narayana, the Supreme Consciousness, in the form of Brahma, in the form of this Virinchi. Virinchi here refers to the creator aspect. So he has to be meditated upon, or he has to be thought as, or in that form, Tadatma, he has to be thought as. In the creation aspect, uh, in the form of Hiranyagarbha, in the form of the creator, one has to meditate upon Lord Narayana. So we see there is an ancient reference to the term Hiranyagarbha itself in the Rigveda itself. Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jatah patireka asit. So Hiranyagarbha existed uh, in prior to everything. Hiranyagarbha existed. So that is what the Rigveda glorifies, the Hiranyagarbha, the creator. So one has to meditate upon Lord Narayana as that Hiranyagarbha. The eighth term is Bhugarbha. Bhuhu Garbhe Yasya Saha Bhugarbha. The one in whose womb the earth is in. It's a beautiful interpretation. So where is this Bhumi? Where is this earth? It is in the womb of Lord Narayana. So in the sense that as the child which is inside the womb of the mother is protected, is safe, it is nourished by the mother herself, similarly the entire universe, Bhuhu, especially the earth, is in the Garbha of Lord Narayana, as if it is in the womb of Lord Narayana, and hence it is completely protected. As the mother protects her child, similarly, Bhagavan Narayana has this world in his womb and he protects, and hence there is no cause for fear, worry, panic, anxiety, or any kind of other worry. So this term Bhugarbha is a very reassuring term which gives a feeling of protection, that we are protected, we are in the womb of Bhagavan Narayana, hence we are safe and protected. Bhugarbha. Next is Madhavaha. This term has three interpretations. It's a very popular term. Let us see the meanings. Mayaha, Shriyaha, Dhavaha, Patihi, Madhavaha. The consort, Dhava, of goddess Shri or Lakshmi. So the lord or the consort of Ma. Ma refers to Shri or Lakshmi. So Mayaha Patihi. Dhavaha. Dhavaha means Patihi, husband, consort. So the consort of goddess Lakshmi is Madhavaha or Madhu Vidyavabodhyatvad. Acharya also says that Madhava also means the one who is realized through the Madhu Vidya Upasana. In the Upanishads, especially in the Chandogya Upanishad and also the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, we see a special upasana, a meditative technique, meditative process, which is described as Madhu Vidya. So, by following that special Madhu Vidya, the one who is realized is Madhava. So, this is the second interpretation of the term Madhava. The third is also very important interpretation. We see that Maunat Dhyanach Yogach Vidhi Bharata Madhavam iti Vyasavachanadva Madhavaha. O Bharata, by silence, by meditation and yoga, know me to be Madhava. By this statement of Vyasa, the word Madhava is derived. So, who is Madhava? Madhava is the one who is known by Mauna, Dhyana, and Yoga. So, through the one who is known through silence, meditation, and yoga, the connecting of the individual soul with the supreme being. So that is yoga. So which is facilitated by mauna and dhyana. So that is the one who is attained by the triple tools of mauna, dhyana, and yoga, he is Madhava. Or it may also be seen in a different light. The one who is the embodiment of Mauna, Dhyana, and Yoga. He is Madhava. So, how do we see Madhava? Silence is Madhava. Dhyana is Madhava and yoga is Madhava. We also see that in Vishnu Sahasranama, Yogo, Yoga Vidam, Neta. So he is in the form of yoga, he is in the form of dhyana, and he is in the form of mauna. Hence, Madhava is the one who is attained or known by mauna, dhyana, and yoga, or he is known as the one who is Mauna, Dhyana, and Yoga. So, these are the three wonderful interpretations of the term Madhava. One, Mayaha Dhavaha, the lord or consort of goddess Lakshmi. Madhuvidya Vabodhyaha, the one who is to be known through the Madhuvidya. By the study of the Upanishads, we will get to know what Madhuvidya is, and using that Madhuvidya practice, the one who is realized, he is Madhava, or the embodiment of Mauna, Dhyana, and Yoga, or the one who is known through Mauna, Dhyana, and Yoga is Madhava. The 10th term, Madhusudanaha. Madhunamanam asuram suditavan iti Madhusudanaha. As he destroyed a demon called Madhu, he is called as Madhusudana. So we see in the Mahabharata and other texts about a description about two demons, Madhu and Kaitabha. Karnamishrodbhavam chapi Madhunama Mahasuram. So he is the one who destroyed the Asura called Madhu, who emerged from the earwax of Vishnu and disrupted the activity of Lord Brahman. This is the mythological description about the Rakshasa Madhu, and such Madhu was subdued and killed by Lord Narayana, and hence he is called as Madhusudana. Thus, we come to the end of the namas of the 8th verse. So, till the 8th verse, we have seen 74 namas of Bhagavan Vishnu. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.